Spirit Animals. Book 1, Wild Born by Brandon Mull. Read to you by Aditya Jain. Chapter 1, Part 3. His animal was not evident, but Connor noticed a hint of a tattoo winding away into his sleeve. The sight gave him a thrill. It meant the stranger spirit animal was currently hibernating on his arm. Abby rose and curtsied as Devon approached the bench. He sat down and motioned for Connor to follow his lead. Connor and Abby sat. Isella raised her hands to still the crowd. The stranger backed away, leaving her the center of attention. Connor wondered why the man had come. As with the rest of the pedantry, Connor decided it must be another nod to Devon's high status. Isella began in a penetrating voice. Hear ya, good people of Brunswick. Before the eyes of man and beast, we are gathered here today to participate in the most sacred rite in all of Erdos. When human and animal unite, their greatness is multiplied. We have come to witness whether the nectar will reveal such greatness in any of these three candidates: Lord Devon Brunswick, Abby, daughter of Grawl, and Connor, son of Fenray. The cheering after the mention of a Devon all but drowned out the other two names. Connor tried to remain impassive. If he sat still and kept calm, soon it would be over. Devon would drink the nectar first, in the place of honor. Common belief held that the first to drink the nectar in a ceremony was the most likely to call a spirit animal. Isella bent over to raise a plugged flask, leather tooled with intricate designs. After raising the flask above her head to display it to the assemblage, she unstopped it. Devon Brunswick, come forward. The crowd whistled and clapped as Devon approached Isella, then quietened down as she put her finger to her lips. Devon knelt down before her, a sight Connor had seldom seen. Huron nobles only knelt down to greater Huron nobles. The green clothes knelt to none. Receive the nectar of Nani! Connor could not help but feel excited as the flask tipped towards Devon's lips. This might be the first time he witnessed a spirit animal summoned from the unknown. With all of these animals present, how could the nectar fail? Connor wondered what the beast would look like. Devon swallowed. Isella stepped back. A deep hush fell over the square. Eyes closed, Devon tilted his face skyward. An empty moment passed. Somebody coughed. Nothing out of the ordinary was happening. Perplexed, Devon looked around. Connor had heard that a spirit animal either came right after the nectar was tasted or never. Devon arose and turned in a full circle, eyes roving. There was no sign of anything appearing nearby. The crowd began to murmur. Isella hesitated, considering the grandstand. Connor followed her gaze. The Earl sat grimly on his throne, his lynx nearby. Although he had summoned a spirit animal, he had chosen not to wear the green cloak. Isla glanced back at the foreign green cloak, who gave a faint nod. "Thank you, Devon," she intoned. "Abby, daughter of Grawl, come forward." Devon looked queasy. His eyes were blank, but his posture betrayed his humiliation. He glanced furtively towards his father, then looked down. When he lifted his eyes again, his gaze had hardened. The shame turned to fury. Connor looked away. It would be best to avoid Devon's attention for a while. Abby drank, and as Connor expected, nothing happened. She returned to the bench. "Connor, son of Fenrir, come forward." Hearing his name called gave Connor a nervous thrill. If Devon had failed to call an animal, Connor doubted he had any chance. Still, anything could happen. Never had so many eyes been trained just on him. Rising to his feet, Connor tried to ignore the crowd by focusing on Isla. The tactic didn't really work. If nothing else, it would be interesting to discover what the nectar tasted like. His oldest brother had compared it to sour goat's milk, but Valence liked to tease. His other brother, Karen, had liked it to apple cider. Connor licked his lips. Whatever the taste, sampling the nectar would officially mark the end of his childhood. Connor knelt before Isla. She looked down at him, and a strange smile, curiosity lurking behind her eyes. Had she stared at the others this way? "Receive the nectar of Ninani." Connor put his lips to the offered flask. The nectar was thick, like syrup, and richly sweet, like fruit and honey. The consistence became more liquid once it was in his mouth. He swallowed. It tasted amazing, better than anything he had ever tried. Isla withdrew the flask before he could steal another sip. One swallow was all he would ever sample. Connor stood in order to return to the bench, and a burning, tingling sensation spread through his chest. Animals began to cry out. The birds shrilled, the wildcats yowled, the bear roared, the moose trumpeted, the camel snorted and stomped. The ground began to tremble, the sky darkened, as if a swift cloud had overtaken the sun. A brilliant flash pierced the gloom like lightning, but much nearer than lightning. Then the time he saw a tree struck at the crest of a hill he was climbing. Onlookers gasped and murmured. Dazzled by the flash, Connor blinked repeatedly to restore his vision. Hot tingles spread over his chest, along his limbs. Despite the oddness of the moment, he felt irritationally joyful. And then he saw the wolf. Much like any sheepherder in the region, Connor had experience with wolves. Wolf packs had stolen many sheep under his care. Wolves had killed 3 of his favorite dogs over the years. Livestock lost to wolves was a big part of the reason his father had become indebted to the Earl. And of course, there was that night 2 years ago when Connor and his brother had stood against a brazen pack that had tried to steal sheep out of their pen in the high pasture. Now, the largest wolf he had ever seen stood before him. Head held high, it was a remarkable creature, long-limbed, well-fed, with the most luxurious coat of grey-white fur Connor could have imagined. He took in large paws, keen claws, savage teeth, and striking cobalt blue eyes. Blue eyes? In the history of Erdas, only one wolf had such deep blue eyes. Connor glanced at the Huron flag hanging from the Earl's grandstand. Brigand the wolf, patron beast of Ura, stood depicted upon a rich blue banner, eyes shrewd and piercing. The wolf padded forward, calmly stopping directly before Connor. It sat like a trained wood dog, yielding to its master. Its head came well above Connor's waist, muscles tense. Connor resisted the impulse to leap away under other circumstances. He would have run from this animal or yelled at it. He would have thrown rocks or grabbed a stout staff to defend himself, but this was no chance encounter out in the wild. His whole body was tingling, almost vibrating, and hundreds of people were watching. This wolf had appeared out of nowhere. The wolf stared up at him with confidence. Though large and fierce, the animal seemed very much in control of itself. Connor was awed that a predator such as this would show him so much respect. Those blue eyes hinted at a greater understanding than any animal should possess. The wolf was waiting for something. Connor held out a trembling hand, and the wolf's warm pink tongue caressed his palm. The touch was electric, and the tingling in Connor's chest immediately ceased. For an instant, Connor felt courage and clarity and an alertness like he had never known. He smelled the wolf with enhanced senses and somehow knew it was male and that it considered him as equal. Then the stranger moment of expanded perception passed. In spite of the abundant evidence, it was the look on Devin Trunswick's face that brought him to Connor what had transpired. Never had Connor been the focus of such naked rage and envy. He had summoned a spirit animal. Not just any spirit animal, a wolf. Nobody summoned wolves. Brigand the wolf had been one of the great beasts, and spirit animals were never the same species as the great beasts. Everyone knew that. It simply didn't happen. Yet it had. Undeniably, inexplicably, it had. A full-grown wolf was nuzzling Connor's palm a wolf with deep blue eyes. The bewildered crowd kept silent. The earl leaned forward attentively. Tevin seethed, and Dawson's mouth was spread in an astonished grin. The stranger in the green cloak approached and took Connor's hand. "I am Tariq," the man said in a low voice. "I came a long way to find you. Stay near me and I will let no harm befall you. I won't press you to take our vows until you are ready, but you need to hear me out. Much depends on you." Connor nodded numbly. It was all too much to digest. The foreign green cloak raised Connor's hand high and spoke in a powerful voice. "Good people of Brunswick, news of this day will echo across all of Erdas. In our hour of need, Brigand has returned." For more videos, subscribe, comment, and press the bell icon. Bye.